LL Nation, what's good? Didn't want to have you guys out there waiting any longer. Welcome in Lucky Lefty Podcast. I'm your guy, Shaun Davis. Malik will be in shortly. Brought to you by Onora Whisky, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, make sure you drink responsibly. Look, man, I am amped. It's been a really good morning. I've been on the phone with a couple of recruits, checking up on some things, checking up on Peyton Bowen, checking up on Keon Keeley. And I will say this for both guys. Both guys have been in constant contact. This is good intel. Both guys have been in constant contact with Notre Dame recruits. They have not broken contact with their class and the guys they have relationship with in the Notre Dame class. Jay Nosberry tonight, 6:30. I almost said Minchie. I'm sorry, not Minchie. Minich, the kid out of Ohio, safety, wide receiver, returner, athlete. He decides on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. And if I had to bet, well, like I said, I've been telling you guys about Jay Nosberry. Like, relax, lock in, don't lose any sleep over Jaden Osberry, right? They jump in on minutes late. Do they have enough to overcome Cincinnati? You know, being an Ohio kid, we'll see. We'll see. They like him a lot. They want him. We'll see. Ronan Hannafin is still hanging out there. He has not set an official date for his announcement, but he has said that he looks to make a decision before the start of his season, which gives pretty much another 3 to 4 weeks, because I believe most high schools start at the end of August, start the season at the end of August. Jeremiah Love, he's going to be making his decision. He should post something maybe this weekend about an announcement coming up. It should be that soon. And yes, I believe the decision is at 6:30 Central Time. I believe it is 6:30 Central Time for Jay Nosberry. I think it's on CBS. I think he's going to do one of those CBS announcements. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Tough decision for the kid. A lot of things pulling on his heart. You know, brother at Auburn, father working down in Baton Rouge at LSU, and just relationships he has with other coaches and other schools, and a relationship he has with the staff at Notre Dame. So, man, but the thing I'm amped about the most, I'll be in the bin tomorrow, bro. Bright and early. I'm in the bin.
In the bin.
The only thing, I have to calm myself down because no pass will be involved. It's not there yet. You know,
but they need 4 days of acclimation.
Yeah, you definitely need 4 days. You can talk about that. Like, you don't just hit the ground running with pads. You need to get used to like being out there running around, getting yourself built back up. But Matt Balis physically has this team ready to go. Like, guys are fit, guys are put on pounds, stronger, faster, quicker. And now we get to watch them run around for the next 2 or 3 days. Full practice. I get to watch full practice tomorrow. So, and we kind of touched on this yesterday. I definitely want to watch Drew Pine throw. Drew Pine had a tough, we've talked about this. The spring was not the best for Drew Pine. And we feel like Tyler Buckner differentiated himself. Drew Pine, according to Marcus Freeman, gets an opportunity. Coming in, clean slate. It's a battle at the quarterback position. We'll see whether or not he makes it a fight. And I get to see him throw tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah, you get a fully healthy Tyler. Get a fully healthy Drew. Drew's
Yeah.
coming off of a tough spring game, but the thing about Drew is that he's a great practice player. I think he's going to be very consistent in the summer camp, and I think that's what's going to prolong a decision, which is unfortunate. I think we got to look at this in the total perspective of a Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Drew Pine is a Jimmy Garoppolo type of quarterback. He can take you to a consistent 9-win game, potentially to the playoffs, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but you know his ceiling. He's not beating Alabama.
Right.
You know that. You don't need to take a 50-50 split of the first team reps all summer camp to figure that out. He's not beating them. If we had the chance, if we had the choice between the two, right?
Yeah.
I'd take the chance on Tyler just because he has a little bit more talent. So for the room in which we have the QBs, I'm just going with Tyler, and just that's what I'm going with.
Mm.
And I think if you're making the money you're making at Notre Dame, being a smart guy to get there, it's a tough choice, but it's a decision that has to be made. So I think, yeah, Drew's going to show you everything you're expecting. He's going to look solid. He's going to look good with the guys that he's comfortable with. He's a veteran. But the key is, how is Tyler going to respond and stay consistent and even use that as motivation to get better in this camp, and hopefully early enough to where he can take the full team reps long before we play Ohio State.
Man, you have to be excited, right? Because the offense, the word that we've been hearing from people around the program is dynamic. And just the talent and the plays that he can make off schedule. Like, you don't understand. Even with a guy, maybe not so much CJ Stroud, but go watch. And this is why I put Bryce ahead of CJ right now. If I'm a GM in the NFL, go watch the Auburn game in the fourth quarter. Go watch the SEC championship game. Heck, even watch the college football national championship game. Even though he didn't have his receivers, he was still moving around, getting outside the pocket. Man, putting the ball on the money, just didn't have the guys on the other end to finish things and come in with the big plays. When you're just dynamic, bro, you just have a way. You talked about Kenny Minchie in this fashion the other day when you broke down his film. Just in case you missed the film, go watch that episode. Fantastic breakdown of Kenny Minchie and Dylan Edwards by Malik. But you talked about having the nuance of knowing what to throw and how to throw in certain situations and how to move to create the opportunities for your wide receivers to be able to have that yak and have the opportunity to do things when they get the ball in their hands. Shout out to T. Minchie as well. You know, Kenny Minchie's mom, big up. She hit us up, retweeted the breakdown on Twitter yesterday. We appreciate that from his mother. Good looking. Yeah. Lucky Lefty podcast.
That's right. Shout out to moms showing love.
So Marcus Freeman, you talk about the quarterbacks, and you know, this is like the LL Nation most favorite clip of all time right now, right? And we really played it trying to make a point, and we didn't know that it would go in the direction that it went from a comical standpoint. But once again, we're going to go back to spring and bring you to fall camp some of the best clips, some of the things that were said by players and coaches to get you ready for the first day of camp. And then we'll give you an update on tomorrow's show. Remember Braden Lindsey and his discussion when he was asked about the quarterbacks and Tyler Buckner?
That's right.
Again, here it is.
On the field, I think that's the biggest indicator of a good player when they're young. He's definitely the best runner I've had as a quarterback in college. And I think, it wasn't showcased as well, but he's got a good arm. And I think as time goes on, he'll be able to make more smarter decisions as a passer, and that kind of comes to just experience. I mean, quarterback's the hardest position. There's a lot going on, so I think he's going to, improve vastly.
See, I blame you because you took that and ran with it, and that was not the purpose of the clip, bro. We literally just wanted to make it known that, look, we don't know what we're going to get, but we anticipate with the talent that he will be able to make plays. You heard that clip the first time, and you immediately was like, "What?" You were immediately like, "What is going on? What are you talking about?"
Crazy, because this is the guy that's supposed to lead the charge, and it was so much going on. What you was just saying. I mean, you shrugging your shoulders. You seem very unsure about the guy that's supposed to be in New York at the end of the season. So from that point to this point, there's been some months. It's been a chance to get better, but we don't need to hear that he's a good running back as the first thing you say. We don't care that he's the best running back you've ever been around.
That's part of the package, bro.
that's how he got recruited. Yeah, that's how he got recruited. But he needs to be, every time I get open, my guy TB hit me in stride. Oh, the way he places the ball, I just know when he throws it, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna have a chance.
Like, dude, I mean,
that's the stuff you want.
Maybe they were like 2-3 practices in.
Do we need to go? Do we need to go to what they say about the Alabama quarterbacks and Mac Jones?
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Mac Jones is in New York. It is fair.
That's not fair. That's not fair because Mac had been there.
That
was his first year on campus, and he got hurt at the end of the year. Like, what progression did you want to see? If you wanted him to start from game one, correct? Did you not?
His fresh last year?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
So he could work out the kinks, right? Yes. And be ready for his sophomore year.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, what did you expect? There is nothing else for Braden Lindsay to really say. I blame you for this clip becoming the most loved clip by LL Nation. Like, they love this simply for the fact that you took it and you ran with it. But go ahead.
All I'm saying is our expectations of TB this year is to be in New York, because if he's in New York, that means this team is championship ready. That's what it means. Now, 6 months before when that was taken, that clip was taken, I was upset because the reason he should have played last year is that, yes, that's the starting point.
Yes.
But by the end of that last season, he should have had another interview with Tyler starting all them games to be like, oh, yeah, he was that, but now he's this, getting ready for next year. We didn't get a chance to see him like we should have last year. So that last clip of Braden talking is the clip that we most know right now. It hasn't changed much until this camp where he has a chance to prove it. Now, can he do it? That's what I hope. But that's a huge gap to jump, because even Joe Burrow himself, they wasn't saying he's the best running guy that I've ever played with. And Joe only needed 1 year. So
that's apples to oranges, man. Like, why do you always have to big up somebody connected to Cincinnati? What are you doing right now?
We're just talking about being in New York and what a quarterback in New York most likely means. Most like even Kenny Pickett. They was a 10-win team, though. First pick of the draft. Something like that.
Your point is basically that he needs to be good in order for Notre Dame.
No. He needs to be in New York for Notre Dame.
I don't know. What do you all think about that, LL Nation? In order to get to the college football playoffs, does Tyler Buckner have to get to New York? I don't know if it's that extreme. I just don't think so.
Okay, let's go through all the championship teams. Championship, not teams that just showed up
Yeah.
in the playoffs. Clemson.
Wait, no. We said get to the playoffs. We didn't say win it. Now that's a totally different story.
Okay, getting to or winning. Okay.
So what are you talking about? You talking about winning it?
Winning it for sure.
Okay.
And getting to the last game for sure. Stetson Bennett. Bennett Stetson, whatever his name.
Tyler Buckner would be better than Stetson Bennett.
I
would lay a stack on that right now.
He is the only outlier, though. The year before, Bryce, New York Heisman. The year before that, who was it? Clemson, Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that, Justin Fields, Heisman, New York. The year before that, Mac Jones, New York.
Right.
Year before that, Trevor Lawrence again. Ian didn't even get to New York. We made it to the playoffs, but that game wasn't even competitive towards the end because he wasn't a New York guy. It's a formula. Deshaun, New York. He didn't win it, but he was there twice. Like, so the last 10 years, even JT Barrett was in New York one year. So, yes, Tyler Buckner needs to be in New York if we want to win it.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. You heard it here first. Brought to you by Onora Whisky at OnoraWhisky.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. Expectations are high, to say the least. Look, we didn't know what this roster was going to look like. We knew we were losing Kyle Hamilton. We knew we were losing Kyron Williams, Kevin Austin to the NFL draft.
Oh, by the way, Jake Fromm made it to New York too. And he threw 6 passes in one game. Matter of fact, he threw 11 against the game I played against him and made it to New York. So just making sure everybody knows that you can't find me a quarterback that hasn't made it to New York and been on a championship team.
So expectations once again are high for this program. Even though you come off a disappointing Fiesta Bowl loss to Oklahoma State, Marcus Freeman, whether it's recruiting, the buzz, number one classes in 2023, 2024, the excitement and expectation amongst the fan base is at an all-time high, even walking in to Columbus on September 3rd. And with all of that being said, we didn't know how this roster would look. It was questionable whether or not Isaiah Foskey would return. It was questionable whether or not Jason Adamiola would return. We didn't know what we would get on the back end until Brandon Joseph became available in the transfer portal. You just didn't know. There were a lot of unknowns. And things started to come together. And they started to come together before the coaching staff was even formed. And then the coaching staff came together. Did a masterful job in the spring, on and off the field, and in recruiting. And we go back to Isaiah Foskey right after he decided to return to Notre Dame, and he let us know what it was all about.
I just believe in Coach Freeman, and I just believe in the whole team. Like, we can actually win a national championship, and I believe that we can actually do that. And the best thing, just best of both worlds, I can come back, develop as a defensive player, not just as a pass rusher, but as an all-around defensive player. But I feel like this team can really win a national championship. That's the main reason why I came back.
And then, that's it. That's it for me. That's it for me.
That's the power of Marcus Freeman right there. You got a first-round guy coming back.
Yeah.
And it told you coming back because of Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
And however Marcus Freeman conveyed that winning a national championship was damn near more important than being first round. He proved that to Foskey at Notre Dame. Maybe if there was like Ohio Bobcats, maybe he's leaving for the league. You know? But it just shows you how important Notre Dame is to college football and how the players, even the best ones, are invested into what Marcus Freeman is bringing.
So, wait a minute. Did I miss something? Did you say Jake Fromm went to New York?
Didn't he? I thought he did.
No, fam. I missed that. I might have been getting ready for the next clip when you slid that one by me. I hope you didn't say that. Jake Fromm, wait a minute.
Was he in
I
New
think
York?
you said he played well in the game that you played against him. Maybe you did.
As Jake from New York.
No, you don't have to Google that, bro. I'm telling you. No. No Google needed. No. And the
Oh, he was a sleeper. Okay, whatever.
yeah, exactly. Brandon Joseph also talked about the expectations coming to Notre Dame, coming from Northwestern.
Of my past, and I mean, I put them on myself too. I expect to be one of the best players in the country, and to join a team like Notre Dame, I think that's how I'm going to be able to maximize on that. And so I hold myself to as high as a standard as all the talk and coming, like I said, coming and working with Matt Bayless and walking into all the different things I need to improve for myself is how I think I can develop to be the best version of myself.
Yo, I told you, and this is something else you grab a hold to and just
That's an MLA formatted
you get
response.
information, bro, and you just run with it. I remember telling you, like, man, the back end of this defense is chirping. Every practice, they're talking, which should be fun because I think a lot of people are worried about how this defensive backfield is going to react to CJ Stroud and his wide receivers on September 3rd. From what I've seen, they're going to have to shut them up. CJ Stroud is going to have to shut them up because Notre Dame has some talkers in the defensive backfield. I think they're going to be chirping early, and CJ Stroud is going to have to do something to make them shut up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive for a first game. It's kind of like everybody's fresh. You really don't know too much. You know, kind of a little bit. I think Knowles on defense coordinator for Ohio State will have some notes shared from the previous staff, I'm sure, from the Fiesta Bowl. But that was the only bright side I saw about throwing the ball 60 times in that game is that we're not going to do that against Ohio State this year. So, you know, for what it's worth, I think that's some psychological setup Tommy did a great job of being a little bit out of character and preparing for a defense that'll be a little similar. But I'm sure we'll see some of the same plays in there here and there with Tyler Buckner. I just think that CJ Stroud is going to have his hands full with what we're bringing from a depth perspective, an intensity perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming with expectations. We're not no team that's just trying to win a conference game. So I think this is going to be a great challenge, but I am excited to see how we explode on the scene defensively against an offense that's super high charged on game one. We're not rolling in there playing Sinclair Community College, you know, University of Dayton first game where, you know, we can set in our defensive ways and get right. We have to be able to start fast, like, you know, previous administration, start fast against a team that can put up 50 points. I mean, you saw what they did to Michigan State like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I think we have better players, but, you know, that's the potential of their offense, and they've gotten stronger in recruitment just like we've gotten stronger. So it's going to be Clash of the Titans. I just believe we'll be able to come out on top.
Well, one of the things you have to think about is that there is a new man in charge calling the plays defensively. It was Mike Elston in the bowl game. Now he's going up to Michigan to be the defensive line coach. I think it's safe to say he failed to do a good job in the bowl game.
He just didn't finish. I'll say he didn't finish.
He didn't finish, but he didn't have anything to go to once they went to Pace. They prepared for it. They knew it. But as a coach, you still have to have something to go to. But I'm not going to detour from what we've been saying. you place the majority of the onus on the players.
Yeah, I mean, they were there in
Yeah.
the spaces. They just didn't make the play, which you can't. I mean, what can you do? I think Brandon Joseph adds a level of security on the back end
Mhm.
where you can trust a player like that to be like, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to be in the right spot. I'm banking on you to come through on it now. I think he's a secure player in that instant. Is he going to be that don't throw at his side type of player like a Kyle Hamilton? That's what we're waiting to see, but we know he can hold the position down from a leadership standpoint on a back end that's more mature but not too senior yet, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Marcus Freeman hands the defense over to Al Golden. He tells us why he did it and what impressed him the most about Al Golden.
Things that we did last year, but he's also he's brought a lot of different situational defense. He's kept some of the things that we did last year, but he's also he's brought a lot of different situational defensive tools. And I think that's what you look in the NFL is they focus a lot on the situational parts of the game. And so what you've seen him today, we had a big red zone day, and we're doing some different things that we haven't done in the past in the red zone. And I think our guys are really, really embracing it. They still understand the things we did last year and how that's a part of our defensive scheme now, but I think they're embracing the enhancement of it. And so they did a good job today. Looked really good.
The nuance.
See, it's like going from Denny's breakfast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's still bacon, sausage, some eggs, and some hash browns.
Right.
But then you go over to the pancake house where you get an omelet. It's still bacon and sausage, but they bake it in the oven. You see what I'm saying?
People don't know about that baked bacon, putting the bacon in the oven.
They put it in the oven, and then they let it get crispy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's still bacon and sausage and hash browns and eggs. But the way they did it, though, the tools, they made that same thing taste 10 times better. And that's what Al Golden is bringing, which is so cool because it's like a cheat code. You bringing something from the fruit of the tree of knowledge.
Oh, you went to the tree of knowledge?
They went to the tree of knowledge. The
Just
Super
good,
Bowl.
though.
Super Bowl knowledge.
That's good. We don't need the evil side.
No, we don't need the evil side. We bought all the intangibles from that tree, and now we're gonna bring it to a place where it hasn't been introduced.
Right.
He was like, Mark Free was like, shoot, man. Of course I handed it to him. What do you mean? See the type of things he bringing over here? Look, we done did some things today. Let me tell you. And these are the different looks that you're going to have layered on the talent of guys that have a mix of don't know what they don't know, but they're going to be flying around. And then veterans that can help them out and also make plays to get stops that we're looking for. So you're getting a nice collection of everything that you want with the right guidance. And Al Golden, the Super Bowl coach, how much more can you ask for?
Lucky Lefty podcast. So with all of that being said, it's going to be very important to recognize. That's one of the things I get to watch tomorrow. One of the things I saw, I think Notre Dame will play zone coverage and mixed coverages a lot more this year. That's one of the things they were working on. And by that, we can man up right here, but we're going to zone up on this side of the field, or we're going to zone this way in this situation. If Smith and Jigba motions, we might start out man, but if he motions, we know what they're going to. So that motion is going to trigger this coverage. I think the nuances of on the field, where you are, players, where they're lined up and what they do, what it triggers for you to audible to or what coverage to go to. I think that's the type of stuff you're going to see with Al Golden and what you pointed to, the leadership, the veteran leadership he has on the back end. Because you can't do all of that stuff if you don't have veterans on the back end that know what the heck they're doing and can communicate and properly communicate that and convey it.
And we got a guy from Northwestern, so I mean, hell, he better be able to talk and communicate and all that stuff on the back end. And he's a 5th-year senior, so he's been there, done that in the experience. So I think that, when you got air traffic control like Brandon Joseph, a veteran in the game, it's going to be a lot easier for guys to communicate on things like that. When you got the offense of Ohio State, which I don't think is too complex, let's just be honest. Big Ten defenses, similar to Big Ten offenses, are very basic.
Yeah.
They don't really do too much crazy stuff just because they don't have to. And other times you go against teams that go run the ball, so you're pretty stout. So I don't think that CJ is going to be accustomed to the adjustments. Things that they might have to look at some NFL film, which it would be different. Just because the type of things that they would do to take away their best players is a different structure than what NFL does to take away their best players. So we're gonna have some stuff in the tank for CJ to be looking at. I'm sure we're gonna disguise some stuff. We're gonna bring a lot of pressure, have guys drop out in the different zones. It's gonna be real nice. But all of that doesn't matter if we don't shut off the run game early.
Yeah. Just so you know, he's a senior, but he has 2 years of eligibility. So he's not a 5th year. He's a senior in the class, but he has 2 years of eligibility coming over from Northwestern.
That's great. Shoot.
Heck yeah, that's great. Heck yeah.
We don't think he's trying to stay, but
No. Look, you talk about TB needing to be in New York. I need him in the first round next year.
That's right.
For recruiting purposes. Like,
yeah,
dude,
we need to be that'll get us DBU application sent in a little faster.
We appreciate you coming. We appreciate you elevating our pro day, and we appreciate you elevating our draft status. That will impact our upcoming 23 and 24 classes and into 25. Right? So now we can go and get a Caleb Downs type. Now that Caleb Downs type is looking, saying, oh, snap, they just put a safety in the first round.
2 first rounders.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. We take credit for that.
Now you start to transition into safety U. That's going to be a long road, though. But
yeah, it's going to be a long, but it's a good ass start.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we talked about how Notre Dame, and it kind of works both ways, right? Cart before the horse, chicken before the egg, quarterback room before the wide receiver room, or wide receiver room before the quarterback room, right? And Bruce Feldman, when we had him on recently, told us that if you go get the skill position players, then the quarterback can come after that. That's the difference between Notre Dame and Alabama. We've always thought that maybe the quarterback room needs to be corrected. We thought it was going to be corrected in 23 from what we were hearing early with Dante Moore. That ship has sailed. Now you bring in Kenny Minchie. Hopefully they can flip him from Pittsburgh. But we had Steve Wilfong on, somebody we're familiar with from 247 Sports, and he talked about quarterback recruiting at Notre Dame.
Because they obviously had a lot of success. And we're talking from the vantage point of why didn't they win a national title for the first time since 1988?
Right.
Because they had a lot of success. So keeping that in mind, I think that Notre Dame could recruit the quarterback position better compared to the way they've recruited other rooms. They haven't, every other room they've had guys that have heard their names called early in the draft, guys that were All-American caliber players, guys that were difference makers. But at quarterback, it's been tough sledding. They haven't really been in the mix for a guy. Deshaun Kaiser was a good recruiting win, and so was Brandon Wimbush. But you look at the roster now, Tyler Buckner was a guy that they committed to early and committed. Who knows what his process would have been. But when Notre Dame committed him, he hadn't even played a varsity. He had played just one varsity game and got hurt, or I'm misremembering it. And so Notre Dame, the Pine kid, Brandon or the Brendan, he's at Old Dominion now.
They transferred. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan Clark.
This is Notre Dame, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like these are, like we should, if you're Notre Dame, it's like we should be getting the guys, like we should be, not saying every year, but we should beat Clemson and Alabama for a quarterback one year, or like this is, we're playing in important games over here too.
There you go. Like that is one of the next steps in the evolution of recruiting, like being at the big boy table, fighting to get guys early, fending off Alabama for Keon Keeley, fending off Texas A&M and Oklahoma for Peyton Bowen. That's part of the process. That's one of the first steps. Now, closing the deal for one of those big-time guys, one of those five-star guys, as Bruce Feldman told us, the success rate is only at about 35 to 40%, really, if you look at it historically. So it's not always about getting the five-star guy. It's about getting that guy that has special traits, kind of like you pointed out about Kenny Minchey.
Yeah, you definitely want to get a guy that has those special traits because that's the guys that are usually going to take you over the edge when you most need it. Marcus Freeman can only do so much from a coaching standpoint, a head coaching standpoint, getting the structure right, getting the coaches together, recruiting the guys, flying all over the country. But when that 3rd and 8 comes on a late Saturday night, 4th quarter, when you don't have the best play, because they got 5 stars all over the place, there's only one guy that can change it, and that's your quarterback. And sometimes you're going to be like, look, you got to come through. The best teams do it. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, as great as he is, he sometimes go out there and be like, look, Patrick, it's 4th and 5. There's millions of plays to call. But you got to go out there and make it happen. That's what the difference between why we need a guy like that and why a guy like that is important compared to getting guys that just do what the coaches tell them to do.
Man, I'm sorry, man. I thought I muted that. I didn't mean to cough. I thought I had having a coughing fit for some reason right now. So let's get to some of these questions, bro. Questions and comments. For Shaun, AL Flip. Malik has a great point. I don't necessarily agree that they have to make it to New York, but it does tremendously help getting the team to the Natty. We appreciate you for Shaun out.
He got to be sitting somewhere pretty.
Charlie White.
Wait a minute. We know for sure we can't have 1,500. We can't have 15 touchdowns at the quarterback position and expect to win a championship.
I don't think they will. Indy needs a leader at quarterback, a dude, someone you can put the team on his back and he wins. All right. Dario Jones, day one. What's good, fam? Glad to see you again. AJ, hope all is well. I don't think Tyler needs to get to New York because our running game is expected to be elite. He needs to be a weapon with his arm, though.
Do we have Ezekiel Elliott or Derrick Henry?
According to you, that's what Audrey Estimate is.
Listen,
look.
If he is Ezekiel Elliott, then we don't have to worry about Tyler going to New York. But you've seen him before. That's a generational.
I hear you
talking about running to a championship. And even in that game, they had a reverse pass by Evan Spencer that was a dime. Remember that when they had Cardell and they did the reverse thing and they had Evan Spencer throw the that's what it took still.
Yeah.
So even with a dynamic run game, we gonna need somebody to throw that pass at the end of the day.
I feel you. I'm just saying, man. It's high expectations to expect him. Oh, not the speed racer avatar. Oh, ask you Jamal. What's good? What's good? You don't know anything about that speed racer. Bro.
Speed racer.
We have enough good players on both sides of the ball this coming season where Buckner doesn't need to be elite for us to make an advance through the college football playoff.
Come on now.
Christopher Galloway. What's up, bro? He doesn't have to get to NYC. He just needs to be a winner.
No. We had a winner.
We
had a winner.
Yeah.
The winning
Ian
is
Ian Book was a winner.
No. The winningest. We had the winningest coach and quarterback.
That's true.
I don't want a winner anymore.
Christopher, I see you have MLK up there.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead, because I have to ask.
Come on. If you go to Notre Dame, you're a winner. How about that? You're a winner. But that's not enough. It's not a winner. We had the winningest in the coach. That's like having. That's better than. That's like an oxymoron. We had the winningest. Like you couldn't get better than that, and still didn't get a championship. So no, we need more than a winner.
Chris, all I want to know is I saw you have MLK as your pick, and I just want to know if you're an alpha, bro. That's all. I know a lot of the bros, have MLK up as their profile. I just wanted to know if he was an alpha or, he was just inspired by MLK. The Smith family. Thank you guys for tapping in. Is Logan Diggs going to make it for the OSU game? I saw him tweet an update. He looks good. Obviously, no contact in the video, but what's his status? Bro,
I like Logan Diggs.
I'm going to speak to it from this standpoint. I'm more worried about Logan Diggs' mental than I am his physical.
That's fair. I agree.
He wants it really bad. And the hardest thing to do when you're going after greatness is to operate in patience. It's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
Right?
Hard.
I'm going to spring time and chance happens to everyone.
It's that unfortunate window in college football, man, and that he got a lot of anxiety over that.
And he wants to be great. He puts in the work. It's been well chronicled how he struggled and was a little homesick early on in his career. I believe he's gotten over that. I think he loves his brothers. I think he loves his team. He loves his coaches. He loves the university. And he wants to be great. I just hope he can, exhibit the patience needed to wait for the opportunity, and once the opportunity comes, to take advantage of it.
What's the GC scripture for maybe sometimes what you really want ain't what you really need? What's the because you could want it so bad that you just overly want it to where maybe that's not the best thing for you.
Well, I would say probably Psalm 62:5 to make sure that your expectations come from him.
Okay.
Because when you allow your expectations to really come from yourself, then the one that's more wiser than you, your expectations can be too high and they can be too low. And that'll mess you up. That messes with your patience. That messes with your understanding.
I think that's what's happening. I
But
think
when
he's
it
just,
comes from a better source, a higher source that's more wiser than you, it keeps you level through every circumstance.
yeah.
And when the time comes, you're able to deal with it and fully take advantage of it. That has been your GC moment.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Hey, we don't have a collection plate, but we got a super chat.
You are crazy, boy. Looking at the podcast. Hey, we spin it different. That's what we do. Oh, man.
I do think Logan has a little bit of an uphill just because I just think sometimes momentum of like the media and, the hype swell of momentum for players can sometimes drown you out.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, fortunately, it helped with Jadarian taking some more time off. But with Jadarian in that room too, fully healthy, I think he would have just added more anxiety.
He wasn't exactly taking time off. I mean, he was kind of forced.
Yeah, I tried to say it without getting, but I think that it's a great time for Logan to really shine. Just to bounce back on what I think he could be an impact for this team. I think a 1-2 punch like a Lindell White, Reggie Bush kind of action.
Mm-hmm.
Not that either one is either one, but a Lindell White role was huge.
Huge.
With a team that was good all at every position. And that could be Logan Diggs. He may not have 15 carries a game, but maybe 8. That's a couple explosive runs. Poor man Kyron Williams a little bit, I think that he could get his spots, but he ain't getting 15, 20 carries either. Tyler Buckner may get more carries than that.
Okay. I hear you. If Georgia can do it, but Georgia has a far more expansive running game.
Oh,
yeah. They're running the ball 50, 60 times a game. So they can spread it out to 3 different running backs, right?
Easily.
Maybe Notre Dame runs it 50, 60 times. Maybe it's more like 40.
It's just how much do you trust Tyler Buckner to win you a game?
Yeah.
Because you have enough talent where he doesn't necessarily have to win you the game. But if you are making him win you games, then you can't be running it all the time either,
Yeah. This is interesting. Irish Chi-Town says Malik Aldridge seems more like a fullback than a running back. Can he be as good as the bus was? You need to go watch how that dude moves in the spring game. I don't see him as a fullback at all. I can tell you.
I see him as a downhill runner.
What's the first thing I called you about from spring practice? Like, this dude, his feet are crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That size. Like, crazy. Like, for that dude to be that big, his feet are really good. Really good.
He's ready.
That right there tells you everything you need to know at that position.
I think he's a downhill guy. And with his feet being good, that means he's a second level guy. Because if your feet good, you can usually get through with the offense line we got.
Yeah.
You can get to the second level.
Yeah.
So now you punishing little guys instead of taking on Fauskis and Adamiolas and stuff.
Yeah. Brian Dembo, the lack of special teams talk is concerning to me. From what angle? I mean, if you're talking about the kickers, I mean, you saw the spring game. I mean, what do you mean? There's nothing to talk about. They need to be better, period. But as far as like punt, I mean, they have some guys coming in.
Oh, we addressed punt return.
Yeah, because they had one of the kickers was punting. So that won't be an issue. The punt game, I think, is going to be very solid. The coverage game is going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
Coach Mason.
Freshman can do that.
Coach Mason has already said he's a believer that starters need to play special teams. They didn't do that the previous 2 years when he watched the film. He said that's not going to be the case.
Like, we're still famous for getting the paint knocked off our helmet.
Yeah.
on a punt return. That's what we
So-
still. That's what our teams are special for.
And coverage will be fine. I think the punter will be fine. The kickers are the kickers. It is what it is. You brought a
We
guy
just needed
in
to
from
make an
Arkansas, the
extra
rookie
point.
kid in from Arkansas State to be that dude. But kicking for Arkansas State and kicking for Notre Dame works the nerves a little bit different. And I think that's what you saw in the spring. It's like maybe he adjusts, comes in and does the job that we expect him to do. But hey, it's a bigger stage, my friend. It's a much bigger stage. And it doesn't get any bigger than the stage he's going to walk on to September the 3rd. Catfish Kelly's Dirty Plunger. That's still one of the best names ever, though. Who is your favorite non-head coach in Notre Dame history? I guess a coach that wasn't a head coach?
A coach that wasn't a head coach.
Or is he talking player? I think he's talking coach that wasn't a head coach.
Are we talking teams? Player that wasn't a head coach.
No, just a coach.
Oh, just a
That wasn't
coach?
a head coach, yeah.
Oh, probably would be either Pat Welsh, which was the offensive guy for Chuck Martin at Miami, who recruited me in high school, who I thought was a mastermind, thought he was really good. Or probably Charlie Fry when I was at Florida, because he just taught me so much on just understanding the game in general. And he was just like an offensive specialist on his staff.
See, the easy, the low-hanging fruit would be like Barry Alvarez, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm going to go different. Because I could say Bob Shamil, right? But it's hard to pass up. I'm going to go off. Barry Alvarez is the easy answer. I'm going to go Vinny Serrato. And Vinny Serrato was so important being the director of recruiting and what Notre Dame was able to do in recruiting on that run. He, especially in Chicagoland area, he was like that dude. He was that dude, right? So, yeah, there was no one no more important probably during that time than Vinny. I would say Vinny. Joe Moore, too, definitely. Dude just out there smoking a cigarette, coaching offensive linemen. It's like,
yeah,
makes Harry Heastan look like a prince.
That's right.
Which is crazy, right? So
I mean, you smoking a cigarette coaching him, you really hardcore.
Right. Facts. You know what I'm saying? You coaching, you have the cigarette hanging out of the corner of your mouth.
Crazy.
Yo. Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time. Good time, man. I don't know what this dude is trying to start, but I'm going to put him in timeout for talking crazy. We see two questions about the same thing, and we're going to get to it right now as we go into a little bit of intel. And I'll give kudos to, give honor to honor is due, right? Great intel piece was released this morning over on Irish Breakdown, and we had heard some things as well bubbling during the spring. Like the Jared Patterson moving to guard is that's not something new. That's something that had been discussed all spring while he was injured. Zeke Corral was working at center, had a really good spring. And because he's having a good spring, you know, you had a guy like Jared Patterson. It was also, remember, they were talking about moving Fisher inside, and Jared Patterson probably maybe playing right tackle for a minute.
Yep.
That was something else that was put on the table. And this is Harry Heastand just trying to find his best five.
Yep.
Period. He's just trying to find his best five. And that was on the table, but Blake Fisher went so hard, like on his body and getting better. Like, if Blake Fisher gets chiseled, the dude is already athletically just a dancing bear. Now, if he gets stronger and a little more chiseled, oh, it's a wrap.
He could be a lightweight Tyrone Smith.
Man, it's a wrap.
Because he's young, right? He's like
Absolutely.
18 or something crazy.
Absolutely. Right? A kid that was just naturally strong, really didn't have to go hard in the weight room, finally took that advantage to go hard in this offseason, you know, under Matt Bayless. And it's like, yeah, so, you know, when you see guys like that, you know, the buzz was, man, can we move Jared Patterson out to tackle? Move Fisher inside. When he went so hard, he alleviated that. He solidified himself at right tackle. Now you have Jared Patterson, who was really mentoring a lot of young guys during the spring and during spring practices, along with Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson, who came back during the spring, which was vitally important. And you have guys like Caleb Johnson at right tackle getting better. We talked about Andrew Kristofic at left guard, being next to Joe Alt. Technician, but really can't get movement physically. And for what Notre Dame wants to do and the power runners that they have and wanting to run inside, do you really want to have a guy at left guard? Even though he's solid, he's very solid, you might as well go ahead and move Jared Patterson to guard because Zeke Corral is a really, really good center. Remember, Jared Patterson gets hurt leading up to the North Carolina game in 2020. Zeke Corral comes in. He's a much smaller kid, right, at that point in time, but he held up. He held up against that front, and North Carolina threw blitz after blitz at him. He was able to communicate. He held up, and they came away with the victory on the road in Chapel Hill. So you knew early on that he can handle the position and what's needed at the position. He just physically wasn't able to really go out and do what he needed to do. And then they had Jared Patterson in front of him.
Yeah.
You know? And I guess the previous staff never thought, let's move Jared to guard instead of going and getting Kane Madden, and we can just put Zeke at center because he's shown that he can play the position. They really could have done this last year.
Did it last year, right?
And not wasted the scholarship on Kane Madden.
Right.
That's really what they could have done. But here we are. So, yeah, that's the move about Jared Patterson isn't anything. I mean, that's been talked about. They're trying to find the best five. Yo, let me tell you something. The buzz about Tobias Merriweather, my brother, and we talked about this, right? And this is just shorts. This is strictly just running shorts. You know, the piece talked about it over at IB. This dude is fast, super athletic, super bouncy, and runs great routes as a freshman and knows the playbook. All of it. Like, he has an opportunity to be really special. And we've been saying that. Like, coming in, we didn't want to pump him up too high, but he has an opportunity to be really special. And that's
it sounds a lot like an EQ situation.
Yeah.
EQ came in with all the intangibles. He was tall, fast, routes. It's just, how does that meld in a competitive world that we're building at Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Is he going to be aggressive enough to be the standout receiver in the room because that's what it's going to take? because if not, it's just going to be another talent that won't showcase itself because of the fact that we got a lot of great players that we're just going to get the ball to the guys that we know can do it right now. So can he come in there and make a splash? I'm excited to see, but having a talent like that on the roster shows how we're improving overall the things that we needed to in the offseason.
Yeah, and like I see someone in the chat saying that the Patterson thing wasn't talked about convincingly. It was. It was, especially the tackle thing was talked about very convincingly during the spring. Very convincingly, to the point that it probably pushed Blake Fisher.
Yeah.
It probably pushed him. Like there was big buzz around Jared Patterson being moved to tackle during the spring. So
that's right.
That's why you trust Harry Houston, bro.
In Harry, we trust, man.
Yeah, we're not just going to come back as is the way people think we should. No. We're going to find the best 5 and put them on the field. And you have to be happy about that. You have to be happy about that. Let's see. I missed that question. Here you go. Will Chesnick, Malik and Shaun, who are your favorite current head coaches in college football?
Favorite head coach in college football right now?
Dude, let me tell you something. Nick Saban is a G, bro. If you can't respect Nick Saban, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't. The success, the way he goes about it, and then you know what was gangster to me when he went to SEC Media Day and was like, "Look, man, I'm straight. I'm the coach at Alabama. I'm gonna be okay. All this NIL stuff and everything that's going on, it's gonna mess up all the other guys. We're straight at Alabama. It's the haves and the have-nots.
That's
and
right.
I'm good over here." He kept it 100. He kept it 100. And he didn't have to say a word because of the position that he's in. But
That's
for
right.
him to voice the way everything is going is only going to make things worse for everybody else. I respect him for that. I'm not allowed to say Marcus Freeman. I'm not going to be a homer right now, but of course he's on the top of my list, right? And then just to have a third one that I respect, I really respected Harbaugh until he made his statements. The statements he made around the Minnesota stuff, man. So I can't say him. Yeah, because his George Floyd comments just, I was done. Mac Brown could be another one. For a while, I really respected Pat Fitzgerald for what he was able to do at Northwestern. But then,
Yeah, but his thing gets old after a while. It's like,
yeah,
all right.
yeah. Yeah. And everybody loves Kirk Ferentz. I'm not a really big Kirk Ferentz fan like that. Coach of Utah, I really like him.
Yeah, I think that's a good guy.
Whittingham, I think he's underrated. I think he's done a fantastic job. I think if he ever got the opportunity for a big time job, he would do really well. Kyle Whittingham would be one of my top guys right now. What about you, bro?
Probably say Dion. I just like what he's doing.
Prime, I can rock with that.
Like Dion. I really like. Man, this is tough. This is tough for me. I think a really good coach that I would play for, if I had to play right now, if I had to put it like that,
Yeah.
I would play for John Harbaugh if I was a quarterback.
John Harbaugh is a darn good head coach, bro.
Just if I was a quarterback, I would love to be his quarterback. I just think that would be a good relationship to have.
Yeah.
I'll probably say Paul Chris. You know, I think Paul Chris is a really, really good head coach. He hasn't had the ability to have a talented quarterback like Russell since, but he knows what he's doing and he can prepare you the right way. So, big fan.
Yeah, Lucky Lefty Podcast. We appreciate everybody for joining us today. Don't forget, share, hit the notification bell. Most of all, hit the like button. We appreciate you for getting us up to near 2,500 subscriptions. And don't forget, tomorrow, special show update from the first day of practice and a huge announcement for Lucky Lefty Podcast and LL Nation. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic Petty Junction?
Petty Junction, Petty Stories of the Day, brought to you by Onora Whisky, OnoraWhisky.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. I'm going to put Charlemagne the God on the Petty train. I don't know if you saw the recent interview that the Breakfast Club did with Chicago rapper Chance the Rapper, but Chance speaking in, Chicago lingo, said, and this is funny because right about now, everybody pretty much around the country understands Chicago language when you hear it, especially with guys like G Herbo, Dirt. Everybody listening to their music, like you hear certain things and you automatically know what it is. So in the middle of the interview, the question was asked, like, man, where do you think your status is right now in the game? And oh, dude. And he responded, man, I'm one of them dudes, Joe. And Charlemagne responded, who is Joe? And I said, see, look, man, you've been up there way too long not to know.
Not to know.
Not to know. And that is when I had to put him on the petty train. Like, man, if you don't get your goofy self out of here. I see a lot of people want to put Russia on the petty train for the 9.5 years that they're looking to put on Brittany Griner. Folks, take it from someone that has traveled.
Yeah,
do your research. Do your research before you go to other countries.
Don't be going like, look.
There are countries in the Far East that you can get time for chewing gum or bringing gum into the country. Literally. Like, this is facts. You get a year for littering. Like,
don't be
real.
Look, yeah, I don't look. Y'all go over there if you want to.
And get mad about how they run their business.
Talking about I didn't get my rights read. What rights? This
ain't no Miranda in Russia, bro.
Nah, yeah, you playing by a whole nother look. If they don't look. Yeah. Y'all go over there thinking everything is like America.
Man.
And you gonna be disappointed. Because you arguing with people that you don't even know the language.
Facts.
Look, I love sports, but I'd never go over there and play no.
Man, look. You're right. G_no, you're right. Hawaii is serious about littering too.
Yeah, like
That's the
don't
worst
play.
thing. I hate seeing that when you pull off an exit on the expressway and you just see a bunch of fast food bags, down at the stop sign or at the stoplight. It's like, what? You just decided to open the window and just throw your food out right here? That stuff irritates me, man. That stuff irritates me. But you can't pull that type of stuff off in other countries. You just can't do it.
So it's like, damn, it's just a sad, sad thing, man. You locked up in the cold, way on another side of the world.
Yeah.
Because you got bad habits.
Because you forgot. I mean, what? Shaun just got arrested the other day. Forgot he had weed in his backpack.
Yeah, they don't care.
He forgot.
And you would go to jail.
Dude, and this was in America.
And you go to jail forgetting.
And it's like, man. Look.
So, I mean, hey.
If you buy something in a city, use it up before you fly.
And my thing too is like, okay, you want people to do what? If you want to exchange prisoners, that's about as far as you can get.
Yeah.
That's what the sad part is. Like, we can't do much for you, dog. And you tall, and you way over there by yourself. Shit.
And that gives no.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah, you talking about? They be like, "What is basketball?"
And she makes more money playing over there than she does in America. It's crazy. It really is like a crazy story, but the expectation was that they would make the number big, because you make the number bigger and then you're able to get back in the exchange someone else on the American side that's being held with bigger charges. It's like, it's all politics. It's a game. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing.
And you stuck looking around like,
right, who
coming to get me?
Right. You can't ask for an arms dealer back in return when you only giving her 2 years. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And they asking for something serious.
Right.
And I know that people looking like, look, you want who?
You have to trump up the charges and you have to trump up the time. Right. So look, excited to see this team start the path to September 3rd on tomorrow. We'll have updates, have some more recruiting news, because in my opinion, it's going to be an aftershock of the avalanche of the month of June. I think Notre Dame's going to add at least 2 more people to the 23 class this weekend, possibly 3, but at least 2. I feel very confident in that. We talked O-line, we talked the quarterbacks, we talked about the impact of the freshmen at the wide receiver position. Last but not least, who was it that told you first, before anybody else, that the sleeper offensively, one of the sleepers on offense, was the entire tight end unit? Who told you that? Lucky Lefty. It's too much talent. Way too much talent at that position. I'm talking veterans, incoming freshmen, sophomores.
Talking teams?
Teams? Tons of talent. It won't be about Michael Mayer this year. It just won't be about Michael Mayer. If you get caught slipping, the tight ends are going to get you.
We'll slip past you.
You can play if you want to. It's the Lucky Lefty podcast for the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. I'm Shaun Davis. We'll see you tomorrow for another great episode of the Lucky Lefty podcast. Most of all,